For one vote for one legal voter. Stay informed, stay empowered. Let's jump in.
Hi, and welcome to Sync-O-Wicz. My name is Linda Szynkowicz. I'm the founder and CEO of Fight Voter Fraud. And welcome again to Season 2, Episode 2. And we have an exciting guest this week. We have Ian Trottier, who's going to be coming on very shortly, not only to talk about his book, High Stakes Treason, but of course we're going to be talking about voting information, etc. So this week, our states that we're going to be discussing are Arizona, Connecticut, Florida, New Hampshire, North Carolina. We'll go to our election vocabulary, our trivia, our national news, vote notes, and of course, at the very end, you will have my final unscripted thoughts. So let's go right to our guest, Ian Trottier. Ian, thank you so much for being on. First, we wanted to let people know pleasure. This is your newest book that you have. I think it's amazing. I have only read a third of it so far, and I think people really need to get your book and read it. And I think it'll get people's temperatures rising. It has for mine. But let's go and talk about what you would like to talk about on our program this week.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I mean, offline, you had mentioned something in regards to your reaction, right, to the temperature in reading through this book. And folks, when you order it, you can get it on Amazon. When you go through it and people go through it, they need to understand it's basically the format is how an FBI agent would have reported it back to his employer. That's basically how it reads. I have an intel source. He left the bureau in 2000. In 2011, he got into the malfeasance of John Brennan, criminality being conducted by John Brennan while he was serving under the Barack Obama administration. And that is what he gave me, a binder in 2024. And I've turned that into a book. So I went through and added some things. And of course, it went through an edit and legal vet. But it very much reads like it's meticulous in the research. And that's all credited to the intel source. But you know, you had said something offline in your reaction to the information in the book. And let me just tell you that Roger Stone, as you know, has written the foreword to this. And Roger Stone very much wants this man convicted of treason. And just to mention, in regards to, again, the temperature that you were explaining, that you experienced going through the pages of it, constitutional, right? The Constitution calls for treason to be treated with a possibility of death penalty. I mean, we're not messing around here in regards to being a traitor to the country. But that is, that's in the title because he's committed various treasonous acts. And we can get into the book, of course, Linda, but your expertise is in voter fraud, and you would have a better idea than. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, I did want to say a little bit more about your book. As I said, it's an easy read in how you did the formatting of it. And I just thought it was very, very detailed, because even when you walk away from the book, you can still get back into it right where you left off and still understand everything. And as I said, I've had to walk away from it a few times because I cannot believe what this person did. I mean, it is unbelievable. So I do encourage everybody to get your book and read it for yourself. Take your time in reading it. Have a cool glass of water. And really don't try to read it if you're trying to get to sleep at night, because you're not going to be able to sleep. But anyway, great job on the book. It is phenomenal. So also with your expertise with a lot of this stuff, we are also talking about the elections and Dominion and, of course, Venezuela. So I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, and keep in mind the getting this book to a publication stage it took about 1.5 years. And at one point in time, after the manuscript had gone through an edit and then it went to a legal vet, and that lawyer was recommended by Post Hill Press. That's the publisher of the book. It's actually Bombardier. Bombardier is an imprint of Post Hill Press. Initially, Skyhorse Publishing. If people are familiar with RFK Jr. book, Real Anthony Fauci, that's Skyhorse Publishing. Initially, Skyhorse was looking at it, but Post Hill became more aggressive, and I went with Post Hill. My point is this. We're actually quite lucky, in my view, to have this publication, because after it had gone through the lawyer, the lawyer went back to the publisher and said, no, we're not going to. Basically the recommendation was not to go through with it. I was given a number of vetting points to address. Those points were addressed, and the publisher pulled the green light. So kudos to the publisher. But at one point in time, with all of the effort that me and another team, a small group of a team of us had put towards this for over a year, it was dead in the water. It was, I think that was verbatim. It was dead in the water. But now we have it. So just to give people the background of what, the difficulty it was to get through this. And with that said, let me just add this. The Daily Mail spent 3 days writing an article on this. Their editor approved the article. And their legal team, their legal advice squashed it. So it's gotten no coverage in the Daily Mail. Same with the New York Post. Recently, Miranda Devine, and she's known about this work for about 10 months. Miranda Devine is recently interviewing General Flynn. That was like 5-6 days ago. General Flynn was the first person that I approached to write the foreword to this. And he was initially going to write the foreword to this book. His schedule wouldn't permit, so Roger Stone, fortunately enough, has written the foreword. But she's been interviewing Flynn about this, or not about the book. Not about the book, but the two of them have been interviewing. New York Post hasn't released anything. New York Newsmax is another outlet. Rob Finnerty is somebody that's known about this work for about the same time as Miranda, and I hand delivered a copy of this book in the Newsmax office in New York City. To the CFO, and Newsmax has not picked this up yet. So the fact that the publisher has pushed this through is nothing short of a miracle that the Republic gets something like this, because this is way bigger than Watergate. All the president's men. This is something that's way bigger. I believe the possibility of this has the heaviest weight of any political book, in my opinion, that's been released to the country. So. In the history of the country. And in fact, the first person to interview me was Steve Bannon on War Room. That was the 22nd of July. And he says, this is the most exquisitely timed release of a book in the history of publishing. I mean, that's what Steve Bannon said. So that's pretty cool. And Roger Stone, he said it's of the most important and shocking books that he's read in his 50 years in politics. So it's no lightweight, right? It's no lightweight, and we are pushing it forward to try to get some justice here. So anyway, so Venezuela. Should I continue, or would you like to?
No, we can go to Venezuela, because we are just letting the audience know we are actually going to be taping a complete show for you that the audience is going to be able to see concerning your book, because it is. I mean, people have to read it. They have to read this book. But because this show today, we're on election integrity, Venezuela. Tell us what you know about Venezuela and the elections.
Yeah, wow. I mean, so Patrick Byrne is the former Overstock CEO and co-founder. People need to look at the link between Cambridge University and our CIA. There's a critical name in that link. And he's a former FBI and CIA operative. His name is Stephen Halper, Halper. Stephen Halper. Stephen Halper, Patrick Byrne has stated recently, he's been talking a lot to Alex Jones and to Emerald Robinson. And what he has stated is something that I didn't know. It's been public record for a few years, but something that I didn't know is that he was recruited by the CIA in 2006. Now, he was recruited by a man named seemingly, by David S. Cohen. David S. Cohen was head of OFAC, that's Foreign Acquisitions, at the U.S. Treasury. He's the guy that brought Byrne into the CIA. Interestingly enough, when Brennan became the director of the CIA, well, it was David S. Cohen that became his number 2. Patrick Byrne is stating that John Brennan built a data center in Belgrade, Serbia, with the Chinese company Huawei. That's Huawei. Now, why is that important to American elections? Because it was that data center that manipulated our election process in 2020, because it was able to manipulate Dominion servers. Now, I've got to talk to Patrick a little bit more about this, or listen to a little bit more of what he's saying, but that directly would affect Venezuela. And we know this, and perhaps you can shed more light on this, Linda, but of course, the Dominion server, headquartered, now known as Liberty Vote, headquartered in Colorado, right? That's the state where Tina Peters is being imprisoned. Very unfortunate. And she's a very sweet woman personally. Just to do that to somebody like, it's anyway, so that's where she's being imprisoned, and she's being imprisoned under state laws, even though Trump has pardoned her federally. She can't be removed because of the state laws in Colorado. But keep in mind, that is probably the most critical state, because it's where the headquarters of Dominion was. And we know that Smartmatic merged with Dominion. Now, Smartmatic started in Venezuela, and that was the system. Maybe I'm rehashing things that your listeners already know, but that's the system that was created by Chavez, essentially, to put himself in power, and then for Maduro to maintain his power in Venezuela. And my understanding is that Smartmatic, after it was created by Venezuelans who studied in America, based that company in the UK. And so there's a web here internationally to be concerned about. But one person that I recommend looking at, from my view, is Patrick Byrne, because it was Patrick Byrne that saw this rigging going on, from my understanding, and then he had approached Trump. I believe it was that way. It may have been the other way around, where Trump had approached him, but I thought it was Byrne approaching Trump about the election fraud. Now, a broader kind of umbrella that I look at, and I was you introduced me to Matt Meck a couple weeks ago, and he has sent me, and I went on his show and had a great interview with him, but he has sent me a graph, Linda, and of recent, it was probably 4 days ago. That graph shows that USAID, USAID, which is an American U.S. Department funding United Nations programs, USAID was funding the Dominion servers for multiple countries globally. But what that means is that USAID was funding our own election rigging process.
So you got, just so people know, it was Venezuela, China, and Serbia. Those are the key ones that were involved in this, not only in 2020, but also going into 2024. And there's a reason why they didn't succeed in 2024, which we got to thank our wonderful people that were able to get rid of the power that went to these servers in Serbia the day before, the day of, and the day after. There was no electricity, no power whatsoever with that. So a lot about what you're talking about isn't just stuff that just started. It has been going on for a very long time. And just trying to dismantle the information and how everything ties together, which is why with your book, High Stakes Treason, with John Brennan, the CIA, all the stuff that was done in order to enable all of this. Plus, you get into all the different bad actors. Like I said, it's just an incredible web of what has gone on. So what I'd like to do, because we're running short on time, again, we're going to be doing a full segment with you. We'll be taping that in a couple of days, and we'll get that out to the public. But I want to thank you so much for coming on. We want people to know who you are, get your book, and that we're going to be seeing a lot of you. So thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. We're going to go to a quick break, and we'll be right back.